Is it recording?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
good now.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the TPED general body meeting for the Swamp Thrills workshop. Make sure you sign in so that you can have active member status. So the itinerary for today is who are we, our upcoming events, the Constitution amendments, some information about the election, and the Swamp Thrills workshop. What is TPED? I hope you know. Design teams. No. Busch Gardens tour is full. If you've not signed up, it's too bad, but I hope you're jealous watching the Instagram stories that we're going to post later. Okay, actual real stuff. The Constitution amendments. So we're going to be doing amendments to the Constitution, and it's in preparation for the next school year. So most of it is small changes to the election process, including like an addition of another vice president role and allowing us to have more than one advisor. So everybody is going to be able to vote. This is our new advisor, by the way.
Yeah, his name is Dr. Blanchard. He's a very cool guy. He's a big fan of theme parks as well. So he reached out to us and he's going to be helping us out with our projects and stuff like that, getting us connections. If you guys haven't met him yet, he's really cool. Yeah, yes. Welcome. Yep, and then
So the voting for the Constitution is going to be on the link tree along with the sign in if you haven't signed in already. Please take the time to vote and don't work together.
Stephen, can we vote later?
Yes, voting will be open later for you to submit it, but please, it's a really good point.
say like a week.
April
maybe.
3rd, 12
April
p.m.
3rd. That's like about a week.
Yeah, it's a few days.
It's a few days. Tuesday?
But
Tuesday.
please remember to submit it and we'll remind everybody at the very end so they can fill it out on their way out.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone?
Everyone that wants to say in the Constitution will get a vote because they're active members. The TPED election.
Oh, I got this. I got
You got
this.
it?
Okay, so of course, like we mentioned, we're gonna make some changes to our executive board. So we're gonna include, we're splitting vice presidency into two roles, internal vice president and external vice president. So if you want to get some leadership experience, help shape the club and push in a better direction, everyone is highly encouraged to run for a position. So of course, we have the 4 elected positions there. We're gonna be holding elections soon, probably within the next 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, we're gonna have the election.
In 2 weeks, we're gonna have the election, so make sure you get that in. Well, it's not out yet. Hopefully, we're gonna release the information in about very soon, within the week. Highly encourage you to apply. And then, of course, we also have our other positions that aren't elected, they're appointed, so stuff like PR chair, competition chair, secretary, and webmaster. That's gonna come out the same time as executive board information. And so those aren't gonna be elected, they're gonna be appointed by the new executive board. So once again, if you want to get more involved with the club for the better, highly encourage you to do it. Just keep a lookout. We'll probably post it in the Discord and potentially, we're thinking of sending an email, because it's kind of big, or
Yeah.
and potentially in the email as well. So be on the lookout. If you are running or one of these executive board positions, you will have to do a presentation. So if you want to get started on that, that could be a good thing to do as well. Think about what you want to say. So yeah.
And specifics for each role and their responsibilities, that'll all be included in our announcement very soon. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the constitutional changes or elections or anything like that? If not, we'll go ahead and pass it over to the Swamp Thrills team for the workshop.
How close do I need the mic? Just like- Okay.
That camera is on, but we should sign with it. You can only be seen.
Are they gonna see, they're gonna see, is it, I think it's following Justin. Oh, it's not following anyone?
There's no camera, you just put the mic here.
And so I have to stay here? I have to stay- No, okay, no, I could just, no, I'm saying I'm gonna move and then, but,
Well, they're seeing you in the corner.
Oh, okay.
So.
okay. Okay, hi, guys. Most of you know I'm Grace and the workshop chair and also on the competition committee. So if you don't know what Swamp Thrills is, this is for people who are competing in Swamp Thrills, so should know. But Swamp Thrills is a multidisciplinary competition that we hold every year, and it started in 2019, and I believe this is our 4th competition. Yeah, and so this year we have a time travel themed competition, and we have 2 different prompts. We have our technical and our creative prompt, and we have a bunch of teams ready to compete. Some of those people are in here, some of them are not. And so, yeah, and this is gonna be our little workshop about just, the next slide has all the stuff. So yeah, this is our agenda, what we're doing today. Basically, we're going over the specifics for the presentation and what you have to do, what you should include, just basically things your presentation should contain, and then specific things for the different prompts, the creative and the technical, that go along the rubric for both of those. Then we'll release and talk about the agenda for the competition day, and then we'll have questions, and you can either come up and ask us or ask to the general public. So, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about like what you need exactly for the presentation overall, because overall you need to have all the things in the rubric, and also you just need to have these things specifically. Whether it's the technical or creative prompt, you need to have an overview of the attraction, because they're both different attractions, whether it be the ride or the museum, you need an overview of what it is, whether it be storyline, whether it be where the ride is taking you. You also for both need your concept art, because we need to see how you came up with the ideas, where it came from, and then what it's going to look like in the final phases for both creative and technical. And then we want to see what the purpose is, what's the storyline, where is it taking you, why is it taking you there? From the museum, what different types of places in time are you going to for the ride from start to end? Where is it taking you, and why does it want to take you to those places, and what's the experience your guests are going to take out of that ride? And then again, just creative and technical prompt specifications that we're going to go through in further detail. And then ASTM considerations for the technical prompt, which is something you want to think about, because in the industry, you're going to be something you really have to think about. So we want you to consider that as well, because I didn't mention this before, but Swamp Thrills is judged by judges or people from the industry. So they're going to hold you to the standards that they know, and they heavily run ASTM, and they're going to judge you on that. So yeah, and now I'm going to hand you off to DJ to talk about the technical prompt.
All right. Hello, I'm DJ. I'll talk to you guys about the technical prompt here. So just some important information that your ride's gonna need should you be doing the technical prompt. You're gonna wanna look at the ride schematics. That includes drawings, models of the vehicle, a description of the design, and the overall attraction. You're also gonna wanna look at the elements and the theming. What kind of new technology are you gonna incorporate? What maybe some old technology, especially if we're gonna put a spin on the whole time travel thing. And as Grace mentioned before, what kind of characters, locations, periods, storytelling elements are you going to include in your rides, so that way you can provide a great experience for us. And finally, what are some rules that are going to govern your ride? So will you have characters, fading from existence? Will you have timelines being created? We want to see some original ideas, so we're excited to see where you take that. And then just for a couple of considerations here over these next couple of slides, you want to look at maybe what the queue will look like, how many people can fit on the ride. Especially, I really want to see an original vehicle. We've all seen the DeLorean, we've all seen the time machine, the Helix thing from Endgame. We're not going to see that here. We want new, unique vehicles.
but you can also be specific, like how many people can it hold, how many rows, how many trains perhaps. And then any sort of fun facts, statistics you want to provide for the ride, be sure to include those. Yeah, you can go next. And then just the last couple of points here. The rubric says that the ride can be medium to high intensity. So the playing field is yours. You're able to work within that range, but make sure to justify the intensity, explain maybe what you're intending to do with it, how the guests might feel when they experience it. How will the maintenance and upkeep of your attraction affect the park? That's a big thing that we would like to know about, especially when you're looking at those ASTM standards. You want to make sure that the maintenance and upkeep is important. And yeah, as I stated several times before, the creativity is a big thing. No Back to the Future, no Hot Tub Time Machine. We want new ideas. And finally, probably the most important thing is you want to see what's your purpose behind the ride. Are you going to inform us, entertain us, persuade us to do something? This is time travel, so there's a lot of different lessons you can go out there and explore. So we're happy to be creating this competition for you guys, and we're excited to see what you do with it.
Something that we were talking about earlier that I'd like to mention, when you're thinking about your ride, you also want to consider what kind of track are you using? Are you using an actual track list? What kind of like experience, like along with the experience, thinking about the technical aspects, what kind of restraints? Because we were talking about earlier, the different types of restraints they have on different coasters and why they have them. So also consider that. And like, again, is it trackless? Is it gonna have a track? Is it not? Things like that. Because along with the creativity, you want to very emphasize all the technical parts of it. And those are just a few things you can consider. Is the next slide creative? And yeah, now Elijah's gonna.
Okay, hello everyone. So I'm going to be going over some stuff with the creative prompt. So both prompts are going to be themed around, time periods and time travel. But the creative prompt is overall more about museum design. You're designing a museum exhibit. So first off, for the creative prompt, you're going to want to provide lots of concept art. This prompt is a lot less specific on like specifications and like technical aspects, but you definitely want to provide, you want to convey the overall experience and the feeling that you want your guests to experience in this like museum attraction. So overview of the design is really important. And then concept art is a really big thing too, because concept art is really helpful to convey what theming you're going for. The overall experience. So you want to kind of describe what the guest is going to experience and take away from the attraction. Just like DJ said, with time travel as a theme, you can really go into some sort of lesson as you go through history or something like that. So you can definitely get creative with that. And then the actual exhibits itself. So within this museum experience, you kind of want to outline the exhibits you have within the structure of your attraction. So yeah, you go on to the next slide. So things you can add that can really spice up your presentation. So time periods, you definitely want to outline what specific time periods you're covering in your museum. And you want to also kind of talk about if you are going for like some sort of transition between those time periods, it's really important you can outline that too. Just really the more detail you can provide to describing the experience within the allotted time, the better, I think. Capacity, how many people can fit into the attraction. So we did specify the size of the museum attraction. So you're gonna have to talk about like how many people you can fit within that. Costume design. So will the workers at the museum have a specific costume or uniform that fits the theme? You can talk about that. And also basically anything else relating to theming you can add. Just like this one is very heavily reliant on how you convey your theme for the attraction. So all things theming you can talk about. So and then audience. So this one is a little different from the technical aspect, because when technical, you're talking about, medium to high thrill rides. You're obviously really focusing that towards an audience, Here, you can still tailor it to an audience, most definitely. But usually museums are for more of a general audience, but you still want to kind of justify what audience you're kind of going towards, because you're trying to, convey some sort of historical lesson
through your museum exhibits. So, and then, like I said before, transitions, what will occur around guests as they travel between exhibits and possibly through time, or like from time period to time period. You definitely want to mention that. And then the overall lessons. So whatever lesson your exhibit conveys to the audience as it goes through time periods. So. Next. Okay, you talking about this one? Okay, and then over to Justin.
Everybody, I'm Justin, in charge of the competition this year. Very proud of my team here for telling you about our prompts. So we're really excited to see what you guys present for us. And to kind of wrap up our instructional part of the workshop, I'm going to tell you guys just some best practices for your presentations. The big idea here is, well, you want to realize that our industry judges that we're having volunteer and to judge the competition for us, they are scoring your work completely, entirely off of your presentation. So it is, of everything you do, pretty much, it's how you put it together and present your work that's ultimately going to determine how you perform and what they think of your work. So when you're getting ready for this in the next week, make sure you really focus on the structure of your presentation. Think of the flow, where you're going to start, where you're going to end, and how you're going to get there. The communication aspect here is, you really have to make sure that the delivery is clear and concise, but also as detailed as possible. With that being said, you want to try to create a dynamic and engaging presentation, whether you decide to use PowerPoint or you put together a whole animation thing in whatever software you can use. You want to make sure it's interesting and keeps the judge's attention and the rest of the audience that is going to be there watching all the presentations for that matter. So really try to be creative there. Can't hurt in any way unless, of course, it ends up distracting. So you want to try to find a good balance for your presentation, change things up if it's on slides, how you structure your information, and so on. Another great thing is that what we're doing for Swamp Thrills is a pre-recorded video that we're going to be showing the judges and to the audience on competition day. So really take advantage of that. Don't submit your first go. Give yourself a few times to perfect everything and make it sound and look as best as you can. So be calm, clear again, and controlled. Take as many tries as you need up until the deadline to submit. So that's that. And then one last bit, just make sure you review the rubric that we provided for you guys. We kept them pretty general because of how open-ended the prompts are. We don't want to require too much or, also not require nothing at all. So just look back over that, make sure you're hitting all the key points and looking at the general criterion that the judges will be scoring on and evaluating your work with. So keep that in mind, let that be a guide for you. And that is that. So also, just remember to have fun. The competition at the end of the day, it is a competition, but we're just giving you an outlet to show your talent, express your creativity and such. So just enjoy it and don't think about it too much. So with that being said, after you present your work on competition day, 5 to 10 minute Q&A session with our industry judges will follow so that they can ask you any questions that they may have after your presentation. And the one big thing I want to ask teams is that you are prepared to describe your work and answer the judges' questions without having to reference any visuals that may have been in your presentation, because we will just watch the presentation once and it's not going to be super easy for us to just skip back and forth between different parts of your video. So it's just going to be an open discussion with no visuals referring back to anything there. So take time to prepare and know your stuff about your presentation so that if the judge asks you about it, you know exactly how you can respond effectively. And so the next part of our workshop, we just kind of want to show you guys our two winning presentations from last year. And we're going to discuss kind of what they did well. But before that, are there any questions from our live, excuse me, from our live audience on things? Yes, Brandon?
So I noticed on the rubric, there's like the originality category, right? It says like no IPs. I noticed that the top one says like completely original. I was wondering about completely original. So for instance, time travel, right? So you have like a historical event
Mhm.
from the past included. Is that original or is that not?
Sure. So if I am remembering correctly, and for the Zoom, I don't know if you heard that, the question was in regards to the technical prompt rubric and the originality piece of the story requirement and so on. The idea there is that you do kind of just avoid the IP and you try to come up with a unique storyline. So if you incorporate history, say if it's, and this again, or I should preface this by saying it'll kind of be up to the judges to decide how original your story and all your ideas are. But if I were to give an answer and say if I were the judge, I would say, you know, you can obviously use history and that's what we're encouraging. But if you kind of connect it in a way that's not original or been done before, then that would be characterized as unoriginal, as opposed to maybe making some crazy connection between the historical events or I think that I hopefully I answered your question okay. But yeah, you just want to try to be different from other type of time travel stories that we may have seen in the past, or if you use like historical events that are pretty common that when we look back on history, then maybe you could do something more obscure. So any other questions? All right, then we'll watch the presentations. And after the ideas that we'll have an engaging conversation about what the teams did well. So first we'll look at our prompt one winning team from last year. Yes, Brandon. Yes, I optimized for video sharing, I'm pretty sure. But Peyton can let me know if it doesn't work. Okay, yeah. So it's also, before we jump into it, last year we did Swamp Thrills in Space. And so our two prompts then, one was for a flat ride design challenge, and that was our more technical prompt. And our other one was a restaurant design challenge. That was our more creative prompt, if you will. So we'll see what our winning team came up with for the flat ride, and after we'll discuss what they did well.
Hi, this is Mission Milkshake's submission for the 2021 Swamp Thrills technical project. This ride is a low to medium intensity spinning flat ride. Guests will enter the ride vehicles, which will lift into the air while the base tower rotates. Once at the top, an additional rotation is introduced where the vehicles also spin about a new axis. In terms of target demographic, the ride was made to appeal to families with smaller children, but the height and the twofold rotations make the ride an enjoyable experience for all guests in the park, no matter the age. Seen here are some initial concept drawings for the theming and basic structure of the ride, and you'll see this progress throughout our presentation as it unfolds to be our actual design. Moving on, the overall theme of the ride is an alien abduction, but enduring kind of abduction, if that exists. Jerry the alien heard from his friend Dave that Earth had the best milkshakes in the entire universe. Jerry immediately took a trip over from the Andromeda Galaxy to see if Dave was telling the truth. Unluckily for your friend Jerry, he has a pretty big misunderstanding of how exactly a milkshake is made, and he is under the impression that you have to literally shake the milk out of the cows. Jerry has his eyes set on the local dairy farm in the park, where it just so happens guests are visiting, and as you'll see on the next slide. For the queue, guests enter a large barn with some animatronic cows and a radio playing some country music to set the scene. They proceed through the barn into a corn maze, but pass a sign that says UFO crossing and warnings that there have been crop circle sightings. Guests load into the ride vehicles when it's on the ground. The base tower then rotates almost as if cows are prancing through the grass. Once Jerry talks about how he needs to get the milkshakes, green lights flash down as he abducts the cows and the vehicles rise up in the air. Once the vehicles reach their maximum height, Jerry activates the spin cycle, which causes the cows to spin around. After a little bit of that, the vehicles return to the ground and the guests unload. As mentioned before, we'll be using green lights to convey the idea of abduction. These green lights will beam down onto the cows as if they're being pulled up to the UFO. There will also be speakers in the UFO so the guests can hear Jerry's lines to help tell the story. And we'll go ahead and play some of that now.
Dave told me that Earth had the best milkshakes in the whole galaxy, so I'm gonna shake you beautiful profile. If I don't get my milkshake, you and me are gonna have some beef. Time for the spin cycle. These milkshakes are going to be legendary. This is a bad time to mention I'm lactose intolerant. These milkshakes certainly brought me to your yard. I'm not going home to my planet empty tentacled. I heard your milkshakes are out of this world. Or on this world, I suppose. Alright, I think I definitely shook you guys enough, but still no milkshakes? I guess you guys can leave then.
There will also be additional speakers in the ride vehicles themselves for ambient mooing.
Okay, so moving on, here are some additional pictures to help convey a better understanding of how the ride works. On the bottom left there is a full SolidWorks model of the ride with the corn part removed just so you can see it a little bit better. You can see the top right is the lift piece with the ride vehicles attached. So basically that entire mechanism is inside the tower and is going to lift up to get that vertical translation. And then on the bottom right are the ride vehicles, and we'll go into more detail about their design a little bit later, but you can just see the models there. And then for ride statistics, here is a list of the general information about the ride. Some things you might want to note are the minimum rider height of 42 inches, which will allow children to ride it with their families. Another thing is the throughput, or the maximum rider capacity, of 960 persons per hour, which is, I think, pretty good for a flat ride. And then you also have some maximum rotation speeds and maximum acceleration, and that'll factor into safety standards, which we'll talk about. On the left there, you can also see the site plan schematic, and on the bottom is the axes determined by the ASTM standards for the acceleration directions. And then moving on to the design of the ride vehicle, according to the accelerations on the previous slides, this is classified as a Class 1 ride, and according to the ASTM F2291 standards, that means it doesn't actually require restraints because the acceleration forces are sufficiently low. However, due to the vertical height of the ride, guests can be up to 35 feet in the air. We thought it would be safe to include restraints to ensure the safety of guests. In terms of sizing and of the ride, we made sure it could comfortably fit large persons in the 95th percentile, and also women of the 5th percentile for those on the smaller scale, and then also children with a height of over 42 inches to ensure that all guests will be able to ride the ride safely. Moving on to the power requirements. In terms of power requirements, there are basically three primary movements associated with the ride. You have the vertical lift upwards, you have the rotation of the base tower, and then you have the rotation of the arms on the sides there. And so on the left there, you can see the power calculations. Of course, if something's moving slower, it doesn't need as much horsepower. Something moving faster does need more horsepower. But you can see there the calculations, for instance, like the arm lift needs 400 horsepower at a speed of 2 feet per second. We decided to have a factor of safety of 2.5, which means we would need 1,000 horsepower. And so the engines we decided to acquire come from Allen Bradley and WG Electric Motors. So the
1,000 horsepower Allen Bradley motor will be used for the arm lift to move upwards. 2 600 horsepower WG motors will be used for the rotation of the base. And then 4 150 horsepower from WG electric motors are used for each of the arms so that the cows can also rotate along with the base rotation. And you can see on the bottom left is also an estimate for the cost of the motors there. Moving on, we also did a study by implementing the forces that the ride would encounter, primarily on the lift piece there, because that's one that's faced the most stress due to the weight of the ride vehicles. We found that the stresses found in the lift piece were very much below the yield stress of 1060 aluminum alloy, which is our preferred choice of material due to the fact that it's fairly strong and it's fairly lightweight because it has to be lifted up in the air. We found that it's about 10 times less than the yield stress, which is very much within an acceptable margin. Moving on, in terms of maintenance and accessibility, all shafts, axles, and moving parts are going to be greased weekly to ensure long-term functionality. Furthermore, maintenance crews will check the points of high stress. You can see in the picture there that the stress is more concentrated toward the middle due to shear flow. And so the maintenance crews will check the high stress points, motors, and mechanical systems to make sure they're functioning. And there's also, to make the lives of the maintenance crews easier, there's a maintenance door built into the tower, as you can see in the bottom right. And then a little bit harder to see, but inside the tower, there's also platforms and ladders so that the maintenance crew can get to the parts of the ride much more easily. Furthermore, we'll have yearly maintenance where we'll take apart and reassemble the ride vehicles and then also inspect the beams for stress and wear to make sure they both haven't gone through extreme fatigue. Finally, moving on to promotional materials. On the left there, we have a flyer that we made with the kind of the logo of the ride, and that flyer can be distributed maybe along the strip of Vegas or just in the park to spread awareness about the new ride. Also, the fact that it's in Vegas, hard to pass up that fact. One thing we could do to maybe tie into the locale is we have poker chips with the name of the ride on there, so maybe we could give it to guests around the park, maybe on the strip, if we want to do some advertising outside of the park. That's a nice way to integrate the locale and also the ride. Another idea is maybe we could have like a milkshake stand due to, of course, the theme of the ride, so sell some milkshakes, that could be fun. And finally, as teased before, we mentioned a country song, which could serve as a theme song almost for the ride, so I should play that now.
There's just one thing in my mind that I can't seem to shake. It's how much I would love to drink a chocolate milkshake. If I could find a cow to make that drink, oh soon I would marry. It makes it such more tragic that I am so allergic to dairy.
Thank you very much for your time.
To be clear, you do not need to write a song for your presentation, nor make or what's it called, a script for your animatronics. But you can if you want, continue the tradition. But yeah, that's not in the rubric.
All right, let's get a round of applause for our presentation from last year. So, what did we like about that presentation? Yes, Chris. Chris really liked the song and the presentation, and I agree. I think it really added to it. I know the judges really appreciated the song, and that to reference, I believe, in the prompts, we tell you to include anything else you think may add to your presentation. So if that means a song, that means a song. What else did we like? The voice acting, yes, Gray really added to the presentation as well, and the delivery there.
I like how thorough, especially with the specifications, the fact that they're trying to cater to a wide demographic, and even just like the little things, like the fact that they had the main characters like talking to the guests while they're on the ride, and in the beginning, middle, and end of the ride too. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. The ride concept's very cool, and you bring up a really good point about the ride specification. Brandon did a great job of delivering all the important details and the calculations he did, and supported that with CAD models and drawings, which was really, really great. More, I want more. What else did we like? Why did they do so good?
Chris, why did you do so good? Why did you do so good? Why did you do so good? You can tell them. Why, you don't like the one? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's, I think that's a good response, guys.
Wait, what'd you say? Sorry.
We need some more. Why did they do so well? Plans for maintenance, another good consideration. Specific. I can reiterate with the ASTM part, yes, the specific reference, they did their research. It's the judges like to see when you do your research. Your research could be fake in theory, but no, I'm just kidding. You shouldn't do that. But it shows that you came prepared. Show that you did your research. Show that you put a lot of time and effort into it. The judges will see that, and they will reward you for that in your scores on the rubric.
I like the SolidWorks models that they included.
Yes, the SolidWorks models, really good. They showed lots of good views too. You know, if you're going to show models and drawings, you want to make sure that you're showing views that actually help you understand what you're looking at. So that is another big piece of that, the structure and the delivery of your presentation. I'm thinking one more thing. What's one more thing this team did really well? Story of the attraction, the story of the attraction, to put it all together, or milkshakes. Yeah. It is good. To build on that point, actually, one of the requirements of the prompt was actually that, and to sort of make it the technical challenge, was to include 2 different phases during the ride. And I liked how the team incorporated that into the story, where, if I recall correctly, the alien comes and first is, I think it's just spinning, and then you get abducted, and then you spin again up so there's the different phases there, and it kind of had to do with the whole idea of the alien wanted to get the milk from the cows, which I thought was really cool. Yes, kind of like, this you could think in the context of the new prompt, you have to go to several different destinations during the ride storyline. So maybe you could include different ride elements to go with each one, and that would be a really creative way to go about that. So thank you all for participating in that interactive bit. We're going to watch one more. That was the winner for our restaurant design prompt, and they took a bit of a different approach to their presentation. So we'll see that, and I think you'll certainly enjoy it.
We are Far Out Productions, and we proudly present Food for Human.
On a mercantile voyage in solar year 1976, scrap trader Zippo Gogglethorpe took a shortcut through the Gamma Quadrant and stumbled upon a previously uncharted planet, Earth. Curious and smelling a good business opportunity, Zippo decided to take a look at the blue-green rock. He made first contact with the race known as humans, absorbing much of their primitive culture. When Zippo returned to his home quadrant, he decided he wanted to bring his people an Earthling cultural experience. Thus, Food for Human, the first human restaurant in the Beta Quadrant, was created to bring extremely authentic Earth food, music, and culture to the various planets of the area. The layout of Food for Human includes a lounge waiting area, a main dining room with bar, a catwalk with a satellite bar and additional seating, and a rooftop terrarium bar with live music. The ground level of our establishment seats 176 guests, with a diner lounge with bar area and a main dining area with booths and tables that showcases the animatronic Human band, Human People. A trip up the elevator or spiral staircase will take you to our catwalk, which has an additional satellite bar as well as seating to watch the band from above. On our final level is the rooftop bar, seating 54 people for a total of 280 for the entire establishment. The rooftop bar features a stage for live performances as well as a bar and seating surrounding terrariums that show earth flora from various parts of the world.
For the safety and comfort of our guests, all non-booth seating is ADA accessible, including the bars. There is also adequate aisle space for our wheelchair or hovercart users to navigate the dining floor. The restrooms are equipped with 2 handicap stalls each, as well as a changing table for little creatures. Finally, the catwalk and second floor are fully accessible by elevator transport.
Throughout the 3 floors of our restaurant, there are some themes that continue. First, we have the furniture, which is vinyl seating with acetate feet for both the tables and the chairs. Next, we have the uniforms of the waitstaff, which are derived from 1970s Earth fashion. The colors featured in these uniforms are continued throughout the rest of the establishment, as showcased below in the thumbnail, that is the curtain that hangs behind the animatronic bar. The sketch in the middle showcases the design of one of our booths. Each booth is themed after a specific area or country on Earth, and has many cultural items as well as a window out into the outside of space.
There are 5 main menu options available for guests to order, with each coming with a side of either French fries, mashed potatoes, jollof rice, or steamed vegetables. All protein can be substituted for vegan options if desired. The 5 super real, authentic Earth options are Human Burrito Spring Rolls, authentic Earth spring rolls stuffed with real grilled chicken, rice, beans, and cheese, Human Pad Thai vegan tacos, real Earth noodles and tofu tossed in a Pad Thai peanut sauce inside corn tortillas and served with cilantro and lime, Human Orange Chicken Parmesan, real Earth chicken over a bed of noodles and vegetables served with a delicious orange sauce and Parmesan cheese, Human Hamburger Gyros, authentic human gyros filled with ground beef, cheese, lettuce, tomatoes, and onions with tzatziki sauce, Human Butter Chicken Sandwiches, real Earth chicken covered in a butter chicken curry sauce served on a toasted bun.
Restaurant experience. As guests enter the restaurant, they speak with a greeter and are seated in the lounge area, themed like a diner from the late 60s to early 70s on Earth. The lounge features a full-service bar, historical Earth kitsch artifacts, and a view into outer space outside.
Animatronic Robot Show. The restaurant's primary entertainment unit is a hit animatronic band, the Human People. Each band member represents a real sector of human culture, and they play traditional Earth instruments such as the harp and electronic keyboard. Their songs are very human, with a discotheque vibe and peppy upbeat lyrics for the visitor children to sing along. The band shows every solar hour, with house music playing in between. The Human People are a pleasant, human cultural experience for greys and reptilians alike. All music played in the restaurant is of original composition, featuring titles such as Disco Song, The Funk Song, and Synthwave Music Song.
And now, to break the fourth wall.
The goal of the restaurant experience is to make guests feel like they are aliens and are experiencing Earth culture for the first time. This comes to life for the guests sitting at the booths who are right up against the windows and looking out into space. Guests can look out the windows and see stars, planets, and other spaceships. But they are surprised that when they see their reflection in the glass, they are actually seeing the face of an alien. This effect will be achieved through a projection Pepper's Ghost effect with face tracking technology. There will be a hidden camera on the top of the window capturing the guests at the table. The video will be fed into a computer which will be doing real-time image processing and use machine learning on the video to recognize basic features of the face, like head position, eyes, and mouth. This data is connected to a randomly generated alien caricature for each guest at the table. The alien characters are made to look like the guest's reflection through the Pepper's Ghost effect. A mirror version of the aliens are projected onto an angled surface hidden in the roof above the guests. The light reflects on the glass, so from the guest's perspective, they are in the place where the normal reflection should be. The animations would be high enough fidelity to match the guest's movement and whether their mouth or eyes are opened or closed. Guests sitting near the bar can experience the alien technology that they are using to bring the restaurant to life. A few feet above the guest's head are floating 3D holograms used to advertise the chef's special of the day. It spells out menu items in English and also in the alien native language. This effect is achieved through the use of holographic LED fans. They work by spinning 4 blades with RGB LED strips very quickly, so the blades are no longer visible. The LEDs are controlled to turn on and off and change different colors so quickly that to the naked eye, they look like they are forming an image mid-air. This hologram illusion is brought to the next level by playing 3D animations that are styled to look like holograms. The placement of the effect controls the guest's perspective of the fans to ensure that they can only look at it straight on to keep the illusion alive.
And now, back to our regularly scheduled program. The final level of our restaurant is the rooftop bar. Guests are seated in between beautiful terrariums showing off various earth flora from all around the globe.
The rooftop also features a stage for in-the-round seating where various performances from live music to human soap opera reenactments with classically trained Earth opera singers. This allows our distinguished guests to be fully immersed in a variety of Earth cultural experiences with new performances each time they visit for optimal guest recidivism.
Thank you for dining at Food for Human, the quadrant's most human dining experience. Food for Human is human food.
Yeah.
We are Far Out Production.
All right. So that was great. What did we like about that one? Why did that team win?
It was like super artistic, like all their drawings were like super.
Yes, the renderings of the inside, well, the entire restaurant really were very well done and incorporated into the presentation very well. Yes.
I think it's a very unique idea. I'm sure it's right here space in the restaurant. Usually it's not from the perspective of aliens like trying to copy Earth. I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, the overall concept there, super unique, where instead of, you being a human experiencing this space restaurant, you're actually an alien and you're experiencing human food that's not actual human food. So that was, I agree, very cool concept. Great.
I liked how in depth it was, because like, it's not a technical prompt, so you really only have the conceptual things, but they made it really in depth with like the floor plan, how many it can see, and like what the different elements are. And I really like that because it was like very immersive and very thorough.
Absolutely. You could tell they put a lot of thought into it. And that goes back to the way they structured their presentation so well, including the details in, a very logical order and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like the accessibility part about it, because they were saying how they went into intricacies, even just like the bathrooms. They went into, there's several floors, let's add elevators, let's add wheelchair seating, even vegan options, which you wouldn't even think aliens would be thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's cool that they took all that into account, because those are real things that restaurants have to think about too. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Going the extra mile with ADA considerations and also on the menu, the vegan options was another great bit to include. Anything else?
The quality of the video was well done, and it was clear that there was like a script and like an outline, and then there's like anything you follow in order to make it sound culturally.
Absolutely. Going back into you have this opportunity to pre-record your presentation. You can do a lot of creative things with it. They, play different roles, did funny voices, broke the fourth wall even. So, yes, again, really take advantage of your opportunity to pre-record this presentation and put whatever unique spin you want on it. So thank you guys for participating in our discussion again. So now, before we wrap up, just to give you guys a glimpse of what to expect on competition day, we are going to be starting at 10 a.m. now, and we'll have welcome and introductions. We'll start with our Prompt One team presenting at 10:20. And after that, they'll have some time with the judges to talk, and we'll take a short break, have a fun activity, and then jump into Prompt Two presentation. So we have 5 teams competing in this year. So that's really exciting. And then when those are done, it'll be around 12:30-ish, or actually maybe 12:50, I think it is. And we'll be wrapping up. We'll be calculating the scores automatically, and then we'll start with an award ceremony and some closing remarks around 1 p.m. So that should be exciting. Hope you guys are looking forward to it. Are there any questions about that? Very good. Any other questions before we call it? Yeah, we had a bit of a hiccup come this week after we had the sign up form closed. So we reached out to a team. We were kind of waiting to see what they were going to say to us, but we do have the schedule pretty much made. We'll have it out by Friday at the latest, as in 2 days from now. So you can expect that soon. It's pretty much already done. So, but if you look at the schedule, you'll have a general idea of the frame you need to be in. So, that's that. Anything else? Cool. Then that is it for our workshop. We thank you all for being here, and those of you who hopefully will watch over Zoom later. Please let us know your thoughts if you have any questions, comments, concerns. This is our first time doing a workshop for Swamp Thrills, so innovating and elevating every year the Swamp Thrills design competition. So let us know if there's anything we can work on, do better for you guys. We'd be happy to hear. And with that, good luck. We'll see you on Saturday, April 9th around 10 a.m.